Peace everyone, it's Black High Priestess. And we're going to honor the Ashe of Oshun today. I'm going to start with the mirror. And that is to reflect jealousy. And that is to also deal with the topic and the art of reflection. And today I want to briefly talk about the hatred of black women from the perspective of body image and mass media propaganda. And I'm gonna move this over a bit because I have today here, I have Damsel. I've got Damsel, y'all know Damsel now if you've been watching my videos, and then this is the garden. So I've got these two pieces dealing with uber femininity. The garden deals with the relationship between Eve and Lilith to Adam, and Damsel just, you know, she deals with that nymph, that very strong nymph, mermaid energy. So talking about our topic, I do want to invoke Oshun. You know, I've done that already, but the importance of Orisha Oshun deals with sensuality and sexuality, feminine expression of sexuality, movement, dance, art. Not so much glamour in the way that Ejuli deals with glamour, but glamour in the sense of using accessory to enhance your beauty, not using glamour the way Ejuli does or the way Freda does, but using accessories like bangles, jewelry, headpiece, or you know, scarves to cover your hair in a complimentary way. Even the calabash, or things that you hold, the purse, which, you know, in ancient African tradition, that would be the calabash. And women of the calabash are the same thing as the ladies carrying the purse. You know, dealing with that witch energy, having the mysteries, holding feminine mysteries, and holding a mystery of femininity that is seen through your uncanny beauty, through the way that you move, seeing that connection to your feminine womb self, but that's still being a mystery of womanhood that is under Oshun, or is held by witches, so to speak. So I want to talk about how mass media propaganda shapes viewpoints of black women in this series, and how black women view themselves, how men view black women, and how non-black women view black women. And I had some notes here because I want to make it brief, but I do want to touch on some important things. The first thing is mass media propaganda. The hip-hop industry, the rap industry, the music industry in general, I would say is where the majority of images of black women's sexuality was expressed a lot in the 90s and the early 2000s, when our music videos included dance moves, when it included our form of glamour, the colors and things that black artists would use to express. Missy Elliott is a great example. Janet Jackson, you know, she was a little bit bigger back then. She's a great example. And also Lauryn Hill, I wanted to talk about a little bit, because Lauryn Hill's image is the one that you don't see. The dark-skinned woman with locked hair, or with a natural African hairstyle, but specifically that Rastafari, that locked hair, that is very significant of Iyalordes, or the women of Oshun that have the most beauty, that hold the highest standard of feminine expression of sexuality through how we move, and those are the models. And I think it's important to chronicle entertainment, MTV, BET, mass media entertainment through music as well as movies too, because the last time you seen Will Smith do a movie opposite a black female co-star was Enemy of the State. the early 2000s. So around 2005, I would say, is about when media that depicted black people, like media made by Hype Williams, for example, great director that made a lot of media that depicted movies and music videos that depicted black culture, but more so in our glory. Now, after 2005, I would say you don't see many images of beautiful dark-skinned women. We've got Michonne, you know, but is she considered a standard of beauty, or is she looked at again as that strong black woman in her role? Or is she an Ialorde? Is she a model? Is she a vixen? Is she a sex symbol? So again, looking back at the way media has shifted, we see where we used to see black beauty expressed even in diverse ways. Tatiana Ali of The Fresh Prince, when she went from acting to her music career and you know, making music videos, you could see that she was depicting a black beauty that we hadn't really seen since Chili from TLC. And that was a great example of different forms of beauty, women who had different body shapes. Even in Destiny's Child, you got to see more of a array of skin colors and body shapes and styles. So we don't see the diversity of the black woman in media anymore, because it's all whitewashed. You can have locks, but they got to be blonde and you got to be super pale. You know what I'm saying? You can have a big, fat, old, you know, West African booty, but you got to be half white, or you got to be Latina. You can dance now in your music videos, but again, you got to be kind of Latina, or you got to be kind of doing these robotic moves, or you got to be under a drug-induced coma almost when you're dancing. Whereas before, you know, 90s up to early 2000, we still had art in our music videos and artistic expression. We still showed black culture for what it was, and not always in a negative way. We had dance moves, we had African art depictions in our music videos, and the things that we created. It depicted our artistic intellect and our culture, and that's no longer seen in artists who are black. Black artists are using white models or using Latina models that have light skin, because remember, Latina is not about being tan with a Spanish accent. And that's not the only thing, but through propaganda, we have these ideas about culture and ethnicity that are just really false and not scientific and not actually based on heritage. So when you have so much whitewashing of black femininity and so much erasing of the aboriginal African looking woman, in media, that shapes the choices men make. Men who consume this media, it shapes the way that they view black women. It shapes how they see black women as marriage material or not, whether you can date her or not, and the reasons people date black women. And I want to start with Hollywood, because I want to address certain solutions for each demographic, meaning how white women can view black women in a better way, and stop with the extreme jealousy when you are confronted with a feature that is natural to an African woman or an aboriginal black woman, but may not be natural to the women in your genetic heritage. Hollywood media is about whitewashing the natural African features that cannot be achieved naturally by the recessive genetic. So you create a recessive aesthetic, and you force the genetically dominant to squeeze themselves and recede themselves into your aesthetic, because you can't lock your hair up. You can tan, you know what I'm saying, but you can't tan and get as dark as me or darker without getting cancer. You know what I'm saying? So you force the black woman to bleach her skin to make you seem superior, when in reality, our genetic features are directly related to what it means to live under the sunlight, in heat, in certain climates. Whereas the recessive features are directly related to living in colder climates. And let's not get it twisted. I'm not saying that the Caucasian or the recessive genetic is exclusive to winter climates. Remember, the Eskimos lived in the coldest conditions, and the Eskimos were darker than me. So let's not forget that black people are genetically dominant and can adapt to any situation. And that is why in Hollywood, our aesthetic is not shown, because it's not achieved by any other culture except ours. Whereas all aesthetics come from the black womb and the black seed. Albinos come from the black womb and the black seed. Two black people, triple dark, can get together and create an albino, or anything in between. Any hair texture. If you look at Africa, and here's what I'm getting into. The aesthetic of the black woman usually was depicted as what you consider the West African aesthetic. And that being a bigger shape. The Negroid aesthetic is coined after that. Darker skin, thicker features, broad nose, thick, full lips, bigger eyes that may be a little bit separated, that aren't so close to the nose, but a little more separated and bigger. Higher cheekbones, okay? Darker skin and darker undertones. Because remember, it's not always your skin, but the undertone is what gives your skin that particular glow of color. All right? Darker undertones, blue, purple, black undertones to the skin, and a certain muscle structure, a certain body structure, and that deals with the thicker, fuller hips and the big round, what you call an apple bottom, the voluptuous booty, you know what I'm saying, and you know, a certain breast shape sometimes, or things like that. But a woman's breast can be like a vagina. It can be different shit. You know what I'm saying? It's not something that you can determine by looking, like the way you can determine what her butt looks like through clothes. Women's breasts, women's nipples are different. It's not dependent on those other things, you know? So those are the private areas. But what I'm saying is that is the aesthetic that's promoted for black women in hip hop, typically, in music, in the music industry. And you know, you know, it's not the aesthetic that is in high fashion modeling. It's not a high fashion standard. It's not the standard in mass media. It's considered a BET standard, or a black person standard, or this is the standard of beauty in the black community. So what I'm saying is there's been a segregation of beauty standards, because you have the high fashion modeling industry where, you know, you got to be white, you got to be Becky, and then, you know, Sir Mix-a-Lot comes out with I like big butts. All right, so that whole song was revolutionary and changed a lot of things, because it created the revelation of a new standard that was always there but wasn't being shown, but this standard that black men have for their women and the standard that black women have for their form of beauty, as opposed to the high fashion standard of white elite society. So you create a climate where black women who do achieve that model-esque standard of high fashion society, white society, are selected by white men as the standard of black beauty, as African beauty. And you have white women who don't achieve that standard being selected by black men as beautiful, because they cannot achieve this standard of beauty in white society, but they may be overweight, they may be less attractive, they may not have the ladylike qualities, the model-esque qualities, and therefore are more accepted in black society. So I just want to talk about how those beauty standards create a struggle for black women, because it has made it acceptable for white women to take on things that are natural to black or African women, beauty standards, certain hairstyles that are considered hood or unclassy or unacceptable in white society. You know, maybe when it comes to getting a job, a white girl can have locks and have a look neat, but if you're a black woman and you have natural kinky hair and you're wearing cornrows, then all of a sudden it's a problem. Or if you're a brother who's wearing cornrows, especially because that's considered the style of the hoodlum and the jailbird, the criminal, cornrows. You know, even to situations where white people have locked their hair, which, you know, the things that they have to do to lock their hair is different with their hair texture, and that being acceptable, but a black person's locks not being considered acceptable, or a black person having to cut off their locks, you know what I'm saying, and to get a job, or to, you know, one popular example is I don't remember what season, it was probably like maybe one of the earlier seasons, like maybe the second or third season of Tyra Banks' show, America's Next Top Model. And one of the first black women that was on that show, I'm pretty sure it was like an earlier season, maybe couldn't have been later than season 3, I want to say. She had to cut off her fro, and she was beautiful, but she couldn't move forward in the process until she cut off her fro. So she had to be bald. Well, why does that happen to black women in the modeling industry, and why does that happen to black women who climb the social ladder? Because the higher you get, the less black people there are to know how to do black beauty and cater to black beauty when you're in elite Hollywood. So it's easier for Hollywood to tell you to cut off your hair than it is to hire a black hairstylist. It's very white supremacist in Hollywood, and that is seen in the media productions. So getting back to black women's body image, all these things have to deal with body image, but Hollywood has created a place where white women can feel that they're beautiful regardless, because they're always being compared to undesirable black women. And then you encounter a model like me in real life, and a lot of white women don't know how to behave because they're so used to being the standard of beauty and not being around true black beauty that is literally erased from Hollywood and made invisible or whitewashed, you know. So when white women are constantly compared through music and TV and media to undesirable women like Oprah Winfrey, or women who may be desirable but are constantly put in an overweight position to be looked at as the mammy figure next to any white woman to make the white women seem more desirable than they are. Okay, you know, Monique is a good example, but you know, there's several examples of, you know, how in Hollywood the black femininity is often depicted as overweight, Christianized, a comic relief, or, you know, that single angry black woman, or just that single black woman in general who's either the comic relief or the religious wisdom or the motherhood figure. And again, religion has shaped a lot of the ways that black women are viewed and the way black women view themselves too, but I will get into that when I talk about how we view each other, because this media and the hip-hop standards of black men constantly promoting the I like big butts theme and now it being whitewashed to where you hardly see an African looking woman. You only see basically white women with tans, you know, Latina women who are very light skinned, or women who are black, but they're so light skinned that the only way that you can tell that they're black is through their butt shape, or maybe they may have an African feature. But there's not black women depicted as beautiful. And so that I like big butts standard in the music that's promoted to the black community has also marginalized black women to another aesthetic. And IC has caused a lot of black women to put a lot of attention into how big her butt is. And black women who do have that big butt shape that's very glorified in hip-hop and music, and music art and art in general, letting that define their beauty. And you find again that a lot of black men, when it's a stereotype, but it's not something that is beyond being observed in reality. Several people have made this observation, but it still can be a stereotype. But several people have made this observation, because I believe this: when you are interracially dating, a lot of, just like the contracts that are made in Hollywood, black women get in these roles, and now they can't lose weight. Now Oprah Winfrey is being marketed for her persona, and she's not allowed to lose a certain amount of weight because that's not marketable anymore. They don't want her, she's got to be Oprah, and she's got to have this look, and she's got to promote that look and be this icon. So now a lot of black women, they get in these positions because they are acceptable to make white women look good. And they are acceptable propaganda against the black community in general in Hollywood. And now they want to achieve a new standard of beauty that's maybe a little more healthier for them and their mentality. But now they're pegged into being this iconic, you know, and even somewhat destructive image of black women and black femininity that the world can see, as opposed to having a beautiful model who, you know, like in the 90s and early 2000s, when you would see more really beautiful black women, Gabrielle Union, Megan Good, like you don't really see beautiful black women, and you won't see a dark-skinned beauty. You won't see that. Lauryn Hill was great, but look at how they did to her career. Tax evasion and all these things. Because she represented beauty, and I was talking to a brother last night, and we were discussing how when you think of Lauryn Hill, you don't think of the big ass. You think of her spirit. You think of her beauty that resonates from the inside out, and you think of her being that diamond that spoke about upholding black beauty to a new standard and getting away from the standards of being a hoe that are set in hip-hop and in music promoted to blacks. And too many black women are putting emphasis in that aesthetic, in what their body can do, and using that to attract men, because black men have become very superficial too. Through this industry, black men don't date for character. A lot of white men will still date for character, because in their society, that's the type of music and media that's promoted at them, to have a different standard of self-respect. Whereas black men are, the media promoted at black men is, don't respect yourself, don't respect your culture, don't respect your heritage, and not only have no respect for your women, but go even further and bash your women every chance that you can get, and elevate every other woman, particularly white women. That's what happens in hip-hop. And black men who consume that, they do it consciously or subconsciously. They will reject a sister like me. They may want a sister, but their hip-hop mentality says, I need to look for something light, white, you know, bright, damn near white, with a big ass, and is fits in this sexualized mold. And then you wonder why the white men who end up dating outside their race date some of the most beautiful model-esque looking black women. And I'm not just talking about skinny, but I do want to talk about that. Because when you get to the ground level, in a certain class level and demographic, when people are consuming this media, and it creates social dynamics and how black men and women interact with each other, and you see black men choosing women just because they're white, even though they have no character to offer other than being a white woman who maybe was rejected by the white men. And then you see beautiful black women ending up having to choose from non-black men, or a particular type of black man who doesn't consume destructive media, because the black men don't see the value in her beauty unless it comes with a big sexualized butt behind it. So my message in saying all of this is to encourage black women to really put more emphasis in your character, so you can draw in men of character, not men who are marginalized to seeing you as a video vixen or a prop in his life, you know, a sexualized prop. Encouraging, you know, black men to get out of that sexualized, that hypersexualized mentality that you're in through the things that you consume, and start to see women as more than objects. So you don't just keep dating the women that are acceptable in the music industries that you consume, or in the Hollywood media you consume, but you start dating women for what they bring to your life. Because a lot of you brothers, you like the energy of a darker sister with natural hair who can teach you things and is living a pure African lifestyle, but you are afraid of her. You're afraid of what it means to go into society and have that type of chick on your arm. You don't want that backlash. Same thing with a lot of white men. So, you know, when, again, some solutions I have, for one, speaking to white women. When you are encountered with a form of black beauty that you're not used to seeing, or that may make you a little insecure, think about the fact that black women are marginalized, and don't overreact, and don't mistreat a black woman, and don't try to make her invisible. This is something that white women do a lot. You try to make black women invisible in certain settings. When she is visible, because again, in Hollywood media, black women essentially are kind of invisible, and black women do things to be socially acceptable, being loud, or trying to be not loud, you know what I'm saying? So you're not you know, but white women, you can go and you can behave however you want, and you're still going to be the standard of beauty. You can have class or not. So white women understand that there's a lot of different standards of beauty, and understand that I personally think imitation is the biggest form of flattery. And a lot of people may get offended at how people copy or imitate some standards. But I know that, you know, when we are imitating each other's culture, sometimes it's out of flattery. A lot of times when white women are imitating the beauty aesthetics of a black woman, it could be to be considered more attracted to a certain type of black man, or just in general. But a lot of times when and it's that flattery of saying, I like this and I want to imitate it because I find it beautiful. I feel more attractive when I'm more like this, and I find it attractive. But when black women imitate white women's aesthetics, it's not usually out of actually the belief that that's more beautiful. It's out of pressure to look like something she's not. So white women, you have to understand that black women are not imitating you. Black women have been forced since slavery, and from you all not wanting our beauty to be visible to men, because you cannot compete with our beauty. You cannot achieve that same beauty naturally. It's dominant genetic beauty. And what I'm talking about is the way we move, the timbre in our voice, these things that are not natural to the Caucasian. Those things are not shown. That's why dancing has been removed, because the way the black woman moves and dances is completely unique and very different from the way the white woman moves. So when you take out the movements of the black woman and how she moves with her body and her energy, that's when you're really eliminating black beauty. So again, white women, understand that your imitation may be flattery, but black women have been forced to be like you and to recede our dominant beauty and femininity and fertility, which comes from our connection to our womb and belly dancing and moving our hips and being able to move like the water in ways that y'all cannot. It's not natural to you all, because when you have a electromagnetic energy field and activation, and you have a connection to divinity, you are expressing that. And our ability to move like a snake is not natural to you all. Okay? That comes from African culture, comes from Native American culture. These things are African in nature, and these are forms of black femininity that are erased in Hollywood. And then you throw a bunch of white people up there as if. So again, white women understand that the black woman has been forced to achieve your aesthetic. It's not necessarily because she actually believes or is trying to flatter you. It's because of Hollywood propaganda and because of mass white supremacy that forces black people to look a certain way in order to even get a job, to be picked in the dating field, to be considered marriageable, to work with, to achieve a contract in the music industry, in the film industry, in arts. Understand that, white women. You find us beautiful, but it's not that we consider every culture ugly, but we have never considered you more beautiful than us. We have been forced to be like you through slavery and through religion and through the weakness of our men. To white men, those of you who do date black women, be careful of sexualizing her. Men of all races, you sexualize women and you date and you like to taste the rainbow and you like to see what you like. You tell a big girl, oh, I like big women, just so you can try it out and see if you like it. Oh, I like skinny girls. I like dark skinned girls. Oh, I never had a Mexican chick. You know white guys, the little stuff that you say and do just so you can add some flavor to your life. Black women have been through enough. You have been sexualizing us since you've been raping us in slavery and castrated our men so they couldn't defend our honor. Don't look at black women as something that you're entitled to sexually. Treat her like you would treat any other woman when you are attracted to a black woman. And if you're so attracted to her sexually that you do want to date her, show that same respect that you would to a woman of your culture. Don't demean her. Don't look at her as savage in nature. Treat her like a woman, because a lot of black women have a lot more class than these white women out here. From where I come from what I can see. So don't bring your white supremacist attitude, and don't bring that attitude of conquering something. Really, really see the beauty in her, and don't see it as just something that you tasting like a Skittle. When you are attracted to a black woman, develop the confidence to approach a beautiful black woman, because believe it or not, darker women do have it hard. And that's why I'm doing the hatred of black women, because mass media has made it very difficult for dark-skinned women of all forms of beauty to be respected and treated the same way that our white female counterparts or our light-skinned counterparts are treated. So white men, do be careful of over-sexualizing women when you date outside your race. Give women the same respect of seeing their character, the way you were raised to, unlike black men who were raised to demean themselves and black women through media. The media of white men that's promoted as you is very different, and you know that. So be careful of how you treat black women, because the history between the black woman and the white man is that of being raped. And the black woman feels like she has to be loyal to the black man by rejecting you. So you have to come with an understanding that, you know, there is a reason that a lot of black women don't date outside their race. And a lot of black women have had bad experiences with that. So it is your responsibility to understand that you have to assimilate to that culture, because you can date a black woman, but she's already been assimilated to your culture, and then she may still have her own. But what do you really know about being black in America? What do you really know about African culture, or whatever ethnicity her blackness comes from? Understand your privileges, white people. Black men, again, very similar to what I just said to white men. I'm not going to say too much to the brothers, but I want to say this, black men. Pay attention to the media you consume, because it is directly related to how you treat black women, how you view black women, how you date black women, and whether or not you choose to marry. But most brothers who are marriage material and who think in the line of marriage, y'all ain't no hip-hop heads anyway. Y'all have enough education to understand the importance of marriage. Or some of y'all got somebody knocked up and now you want to take manhood for it. You want to take responsibility for it. But again, black men, stop thinking that black femininity is in a certain body shape. And stop finding so much value in that. Because again, I should have talked about Sarah Bartman in this, but you know, to the men, remember Sarah Bartman, black men and white men too, but remember and research Sarah Bartman and understand that her being on display is the same way that black femininity is displayed to the world. But now black women can't even own that because it's being whitewashed, because our skin color is being erased. So, you know, and it's looked at as something that white women have always achieved, but it is something that black women have suffered through Sarah Bartman and through other things. Again, and she was like a model, the Venus Hottentot, and that's why I want to talk about Oshun, because again, black men, stop dating for popularity, stop dating for what looks good, stop dating for what's socially acceptable, and man up. Black men, you all really need to start giving yourself permission to like the type of women that you actually like, and stop dating these women who your boys like and the rap artists that you listen to like. And black men, I don't know why y'all love rap so much, but really grow out of it already. Grow out of it. That's all I gotta say. It's promoted at y'all for a reason, and then you wonder why the world views you a certain way, because you just eat rap music like it's chitlins, and you don't even have to eat that. There's so much other things that can nourish you, and that aren't literally the intestines of America, aren't the shit. And black men, you all love eating chitlins, metaphorically. You love eating whatever shit is fed to you, and then you wonder why nobody has respect for you. And black women are the only ones who were loyal to you, have now seen that you are not respectable. So start showing respect for yourself and the type of women you entertain. Because black men, you have lost all respect. And again, brothers, some of y'all are making black men as a whole just look worthless. Save being a white woman's sex slave. Y'all just seem worthless. So show your worth by the type of women that you entertain, the women that you befriend, the women that you holler at, and stop letting others dictate what type of woman you find attractive. Stop that. On all levels. But the dark-skinned black woman has been mostly affected by that. You understand? All right, so last but not least, black women. I just kind of want to get to some solutions here. Again, talking about Oshun, black women, I tried to touch on some things. Stop marginalizing yourself to Christian standards. Stop eating emotionally. Stop thinking that being strong is in your weight. A lot of sisters, you don't admit, but you feel strong by staying big. And then when sister comes along who's a model, or someone like me who comes along who has a really ideal body shape, then you guys want to huddle up and talk about losing weight and this and this and that. Sisters, to who it applies to, stop letting media and society marginalize you into this big mama. And start expressing the femininity that you really want and that you admire, that other sisters give themselves bravery to express, because a lot of it comes from religion as well, black women. The way you view each other and the way the way we compete with each other, a lot of that comes through religion. And viewing a beautiful black woman who has qualities that you don't see on TV, and that religion refers to as Jezebel, if she's beautiful and she has certain features that are attractive and different, or if she looks like, you know, like they say in the modeling standard, and this is a quote from a woman, like she has to look like a white girl dipped in chocolate, you know. So when you are confronted with a sister who can achieve other beauty standards other than the big butt and the big mama, you know, really think about, have you marginalized yourself? Do you meet models with envy? Do you meet black women who work out and who do these things to show that they really love their body and they feel good about themselves and they want to be healthy and they don't want to have this unhealthy but marketable shape and image? Do you meet these women with jealousy? Or do you let them inspire you to express the black femininity that you really want to express? And again, my solution for sisters, I started the campaign in December. And it was black women not saying anything negative about each other for an entire year. I could have started in November. It's been months now, but I started that campaign, and that solution came directly from me experiencing so much jealousy from black women I would encounter based on how beautiful I am. And based on, again, I say beautiful, not just pretty, because that whole connection, the way I walk, the way I move, the way I dress, the way I dare to dress in a way that makes me feel good and that shows how much pride I take in my body shape and in my beauty and in my sexuality. You know, a lot of black women, you're so used to covering up and everything and being in this religious way, and then you're cool with it because you got that big ass, right? You got a big ass, right? And so that's sexy. So you don't have to have any style. You don't have to have sensuality. You don't have to have class and know how to cross your legs and know how to posture yourselves because you got a big ass, and that's attractive, right? So again, let's get out of that mentality, sisters. And you know, a lot of sisters don't have that, so I'm not speaking to you. But I am talking about how we start to view each other and the ways we marginalize ourselves. Another example, I have a neighbor was losing weight. And she was telling me how, as she started to lose weight, other sisters would tell her, oh, you losing too much weight. You look better when you're bigger and this and that. And a lot of black women, I know you deal with this. You all start to lose weight and you start to look the way you want. You start to feel good about yourself. And what do your girlfriends do? They hate on you. They try and get you back into that crab in the bucket. So black women, we love doing that to each other. And if you can't do that to each other, what happens? Well, you don't get invited out as much. You don't get invited to the events. You don't get invited to the sister circles or all those things, because a lot of times black women are getting together to complain about things like what it's like to be a single mother. Sometimes what it's like to just be black woman in America, but Single mothers don't always want to be around women who have chosen not to have a baby and don't have that problem. Just like overweight sisters don't always want to be around models who are confident in their body shape and who have a standard that is not in our communities, who can achieve a standard of beauty. So this is talking about Oshun and her uniqueness. It was not just in the glow of her skin, which her skin is triple dark too, but her skin glows, and that is still a mystery. It's not just in the glow of her skin. It's in her youth, her youthful, innocent expression of her sexuality and the way she moves. You always know Oshun because of the way she moves. Even if she has a certain shape, she's gonna move in a way that you can feel the energy and the femininity and the mystery. So sisters, let's start to appreciate our own femininity that's not shown in Hollywood. And my solution to everybody is start watching media that is in Africa. Start watching African media, or start watching Pacific Island media. African media is including Indian media. But remember, I'm talking about independent media. I'm not talking about media that clearly is depicting the color caste system and that's popularized. Seek out other type of media. Bata Box is a Nigerian show that's really popular, but I like because it allows you to see real black African women in that beauty and see that being the standard of beauty where they are. Again, my solution for sisters, let's not say anything negative about each other for a year and see how that shapes our ability to appreciate the diversity that we have. But my number one solution is black people, artists, let's start making media. Black people, it's your responsibility to make media that depicts you. Stop making media that depicts that white supremacy like the Japanese do. Every time they come out with an anime, they got white people in it. That's a despicable level of self-hatred. Now again, some of you want to be marketable, but let's take a artistic oath or responsibility to stay true to creating art, not just creating something that's marketable and supports the status quo. It's no longer art then. That's when it goes from being art to media, when you're really just trying to market stuff and lose the genuine expression. So black people, start expressing your nature. Don't whitewash yourself. White people, learn to appreciate the nature of others. If you become uncomfortable when you're around black people, and if you are one of these white people who you're super Christian, or you got these ideas that black is bad and white and light is better, be careful of that. Be careful of that, because black people, we carry that black energy as well. So when you see the sensuality of a black woman, you know, don't erase it, don't shade it, and don't make it invisible. Sisters, start showing, if you know how to move and if you're beautiful and if you have some beauty to offer, let's start having more confidence in expressing that. That's why I like to do artistic nudes and everything, because you do not see my type of beauty in Hollywood media. You really haven't since Lauryn Hill. And even Lauryn Hill wasn't as sexualized as I would like to see Oshun really be depicted. The real beauty of Oshun as a black woman, and the way we carry a sensual energy that is not in other cultures. That is not a heritage of the white woman. Okay? You know, and again, sisters, let's not have our body shapes become our defense mechanism. Because a lot of black women, you become bigger because you feel like that makes you, you feel like you can defeat a model by being big and strong, and I can beat your ass, you know, and all of this envy that we have. Sisters, don't throw your weight around, because that is exactly how you're depicted as, and how we're depicted as, is throwing our weight around and holding our femininity in our weight, and holding that anger and that stuff in our weight. Sisters, let that weight go. Start to work out. I know a lot of you want to lose weight and you want to be beautiful. You want to have a good shape. I'm not saying achieve a standard that's not yours. Everyone has a body frame. Be in shape for your body frame though, and express your movement, your sensuality. It's not always in being skinny. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying don't think that you're having a big butt or lighter skin or a darker skin even sometimes. Don't think that that is the only feature that you need to be considered beautiful. Beauty is from the inside out, and you will know beauty when you see it move. You will know Oshun by the way she moves. All right? I think I touched on, you know, most of the solutions. Boycotts, I do condone, because when white supremacist media feels the dent in their revenue, then we will start to see the characters that we are demanding. So that is why I do condone us not consuming this media, because again, it's just like if you keep eating this chitlins, if you keep eating this shit, who's making money? Well, the slave owners are eating the good parts of the pig, and they still giving you the shit. So black people, stop consuming any media that you're given. And those of you who are in the occult and know how to deprogram and can watch media and without being under a spell, we need to start creating media as well, because very few people can actually consume media and see the occult spells in it without it going directly into their subconscious and then feeding their pineal gland, and now they're going out into the world behaving in that way. And sisters, a solution for you is to don't be afraid of white men. Don't be afraid of people of other cultures. Allow yourself to be appreciated by men of all races and cultures, so you can see that your beauty is appreciated by other cultures in a way that it is not appreciated by black men. I'm not saying that black men don't love black women, but in America, you guys don't. And other cultures, black women appreciate, even in its marginalized, appropriated and propagated state, other cultures love your beauty. So when they see real beautiful black women, you know, que habla español, you know, so they want us. They want us, sisters. So give yourself permission to be loved by all cultures. Really, you get out of this mindset of don't date white men and don't do this and this and that. No, you need to use discernment. Because how can you be out here preaching don't date white men when just as many black men damage black women and mistreat black women, and there's several white men, or it's not about being white all the time. It's just about being a non-black man who has a lot to offer a woman and actually sees beauty in her in a way that black men don't. Because black men are too busy seeing whatever media tells them to see. Whereas you got a white man who comes from a different culture, and he's been given permission to think and dominate his domain, and he can see with different eyes, because he's not under a spell, and he's not as marginalized. And people marginalize themselves. So, and then sisters, leave church alone. Stop going to church so much. It's not doing much for you. If it's doing something for you, fine, but get with your spirituality, sisters. Start honoring black goddesses. Start allowing yourself to express your sexual femininity through Oshun. Oshun is not necessarily going to be a church, you know what I'm saying? But if you remember Mary Magdalene, if y'all can't get away from church and the Bible, think about Mary Magdalene, because the book of Mary Magdalene was deleted. So you all don't know sacred femininity. not from no biblical perspective, because it was erased. All of the sacred femininity was erased. And if you know Mary Magdalene as the prostitute, and her book was erased, but Jesus loved her even more than he loved all of the other disciples, what does that tell you, sisters? Your sexuality is being corrupted through religion. And that's why you go around seeing sexy black women as a threat, because we hold the mysteries of the witch. We hold the mysteries of what you consider the prostitute, but really the woman who is most desired. So get back to being desirable and get out of that idea that being desirable makes you evil. All right, I think I will cut it short there. Thank you for listening, and I will do some more videos. Let me know if you guys have any suggestions on topics for this series or anything else. All right, peace and love.